It definitely starts with intention and belief that it's even possible, because I had a first session with a new client and she was like, when we came to talk about the energy, she was like, Laura, but are you sure this is possible for me? Like, because like I'm at the C-suite level, like all of my other counterparts are men, and I have actually been told that I come across as aggressive now, but then in the past I would be passed for promotion because they told me, well, the problem with female leaders is you are either too aggressive or too nice, and unfortunately you're too nice, and so you are just not fit for the role. So I had to really toughen up, and I don't know if I can do this, if I can just, close the door of the office and then go back home and just be all, like flowers and rainbows. And then she said something like, I don't know if I can just talk about, like how my day was as if nothing happened, and as if I didn't have to fight. And I'm not just gonna, I don't have the same topics that ladies that work at the nail shop do. And I was like, well, first of all, like let's relax here, because what I'm not saying that you need to be simple. That's basically what she was implying. We had to have a little conversation about respect towards the work people do as well. But you don't have to be simple. Like, being in your feminine doesn't mean you're acting stupid. So let's establish that. So it starts with the understanding, with the intention, and with the belief that it's possible. Because this is definitely not about you coming back home and pretending nothing happened at work, or not talking about work because you're like, oh, I need to be in my feminine. But it's about how you communicate. So if you have to be in your bossy mode at work and you give orders, and you manage, and you don't ask for opinion, and you don't say sorry, once these doors to the office close, your intention needs to be, okay, now I'm activating a second gear. And so that's a big area of work that I do with my clients. How do we create a second gear you can shift into when the meetings are over, where you don't have to protect your authority, where actually what you're doing is you're inspiring the man to show up for you and trust that he will? Because that's the difference. The masculine doesn't trust, it manages. The feminine inspires and trust. And so that's the switch. It will then influence how you communicate as a result, how you show up. And so obviously that then sets a whole process in motion. But it definitely starts with the realization that it needs to be done in the first place. Because very often we just think, that's just how I am. And I have a big personality and I won't change for anybody. Um, and that's absolutely right. I don't want anyone to change. I've naturally grown up, like, I'm the first daughter, well, the firstborn and a daughter, and so I've been like taking care of everybody since I can remember. I'm naturally very much in my masculine energy, because I always had to manage, I always had to perform. And it will always be with me, and that's something that I use for my clients, and they benefit from it because I'm the one who holds them in that process. But I also learned to perform in a different way, to act in a different way, right? So it's just about finding what being feminine means to you, and then getting intentional with practicing it, because it takes practice.
Yeah, I understand that we need to learn how to switch to the second year, but I can imagine that it's not something that will just happen overnight. It almost sounds like there's this process of remembering who we are, because I would like to believe that as women we weren't born with, a dominant masculine energy. Like, that was not the intent, right? The intention was, feminine energy, inspire, trust, soft. I guess for me, I'm just saying, how do you know that you're not just trying to be someone you're not, like you said? How do you know that you're not trying to be that? Because I can imagine that during that process, sometimes it won't feel natural. Like, you you just want to still keep your guard up, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, guys have shown us some serious, like, spiciness, right? You're like, oh,
So now we're getting into another big thing, which is scarcity mindset in dating. So the belief that there aren't many good ones left. All the guys at my age are already married or taken or whatever. So, like, I just have the crappy leftovers nobody wanted or the seriously dysfunctional ones to choose from. And so, when we have that belief, it's very difficult at this stage of dating to be like, to trust and to create a space for a man to step up and prove himself. Men love it, but the right men, let me just add that. But we, as women with drive, women with ambition, women who need control, let's be honest, that is the sort of default setting that we have as ambitious, high achieving women. When we meet a guy we like, it's almost like he ticks so many of my boxes. I really don't want to miss this opportunity. So let me manage this. Let me not take a chance by stepping back to allow him to step in. Let me just manage that. So, make sure that the first date happens and it happens the way I want it to and when I want it to. And or they approach it from the other angle, which is, I have been hurt so many times. I don't want to waste my time. Let me basically interview guys. That's something that very often my clients do. So they have a whole system. There will be different variations of it, but it essentially looks something like they match on a dating app and she says, let's meet at a wine bar. And then within that one glass of wine, she determines if she wants to keep investing time or not.